thanks, guys. I am a journalist. I'm not, however, very good at PowerPoint, so thank you. If you move it on when I point, that would be awesome. So, thank you for having me. As Sammy said, my name is Clare Heal. I'm a freelance journalist, and before that, I worked for the Sunday Express for 13 years. I worked on the health and beauty pages, the travel section, the magazines, as a reporter on the news desk, as a radio and TV critic, an opinion columnist, and a features editor. Mainly, though, I wrote features. Arts and culture, celebrity interviews, history, real-life stories. Variety, they say, is the spice of life. So I want to talk a little bit about how I've seen the nature of journalism change over the last decade or so, where it might be going, and how, if your ambitions lie there, how you might achieve them. So first, though, a question, by a show of hands, how many of you are actually at all interested in maybe a career in journalism? Quite a few, that's excellent. And then also, how many of you, again by a show of hands, read a newspaper, like an actual physical papery paper? Slightly fewer. That's interesting, though, too. So I think that demonstrates that some of the changes that have happened during my time in the industry. So people still want to find out what's going on. I'm guessing you get your news by social media and online, is that right? But they want it on their smartphones and they don't want to pay for it. So I'm 35, which probably seems super ancient to you. But I've seen a lot of change in the sort of 13 years I was in the industry, though. So when I first started, Twitter didn't exist, Facebook didn't exist, there was no Wikipedia. And the thing that I still find a bit weird, which probably is inconceivable to you, is Google didn't exist. So there was stuff on the internet, but if you wanted to know something, best way was to pick up the phone and call someone. So now it's not just that you guys get your news from the internet, it's changed the way that we make the news. The internet's any journalist's first port of call, even if that's just to find who you pick up the phone to, really. But I'm guessing what you are asking is, where are the jobs? So I had a look. If you look on, say, Guardian Media jobs page, there's probably more jobs in teaching journalism, lecturing, than there are actually journalists' jobs. But it doesn't mean that they aren't actually out there. It just means you can't see them, you've got to look for them, and this is where the do-it-yourself bit comes in. I think Luke spoke a bit how about seeing yourself as a product, seeing yourself as a brand. You've got to hustle a bit. We all have portfolio careers now, and you've got to not just be a journalist, you've got to be an entrepreneur, and you've got to sell yourself. So I got into journalism through work experience, and that is still probably there's no substitute for getting out there, seeing how things work. A degree is good, but there'll be younger, hungrier people who didn't do the degree coming up behind you. So local newspapers and magazines are often very willing to give you a chance, and then if they like you, they might be willing to give you some shifts. But what didn't exist back when I was in was the alternative, the chance to build your own brand. Again, I don't like to sound so corporate-y and brandy, but that is how the world is going to see you. And the real difference is that when I started, you could only do the work experience. That excluded a lot of people who couldn't necessarily get to big newspaper offices, couldn't stay in big cities, didn't necessarily have the time to work for free. Now you can work for free from the comfort of your own home, thanks to the internet. So create blogs, YouTube channels, Instagram, I'm sure loads of you do all that stuff already. And it's a really, really good way to get yourself known. Think about what's unique about you, and you can use that either as your calling card when you go to apply for jobs, or for freelance work. So, for example, a friend of mine, and maybe this isn't the way to make a career, but it's one little bit in a portfolio career. She, for a laugh, started putting amusing captions on pictures of furniture. Drunk furniture, she calls it. Now she has a book deal. Can we have the next one, please? And the last one. So, it's hardly Pulitzer Prize winning, but, you know, she's out there, she's hustling, she's making money. So if I may quote the awesome Caitlin Moran in a piece that she wrote just before the Times put its paywall up, the internet is currently split into two halves. The bit that's making all the money is the bit selling holidays, dishwashers, weekly groceries, and fake Viagra. It's San Francisco during the gold rush over there. If you're selling stuff on the internet, however tatty or unenvironmentally friendly it is, you've got it made. Then there's the half that makes no money at all, where you could download music, films, TV shows, photography, and journalism for free. Because if you're selling creativity on the internet, brilliant, complex, or just plain entertaining visions, it seems you're not supposed to charge. The internet didn't make businesses start giving their stuff away for free. Topshop isn't handing out free jumpsuits, just the arty, boho, groovy people, and simply because they were very scared of not looking cool. I don't know how it happened, but you have to hand it to the man. He aced that one. So I think Luke spoke very well about how you have to make your own product and sell that. And if there is going to be a future to this industry, it lies with you guys, and you have to insist on getting paid. Plenty of people, like, for example, the Huffington Post, will insist that you blog for free for exposure. But ultimately, you have to ask for some money. Working for free, whether you do it in a newspaper office or on your own, at home on the internet, eventually you have to ask for some money, or there isn't an industry. There's just people doing things for free. But before you even get to charge anything, the important question to ask is, what do you actually want to write? It's important to know what kind of journalist you want to be. Are you a kind of chase the story, intrepid reporter like in Hollywood films? Do you want to change the world and campaign on important issues? Are you a sports writer giving everyone a play-by-play account of the match that they couldn't be at? Or a critic, using your specialist knowledge to put things in context for your readers? Now, a lot of people who came to do work experience when I was on the paper said that they wanted to be a columnist, which is all very well, but if that is what you want, then consider why your opinions are ones that the world needs to hear. Are you particularly unique or well-informed? Do you have insider info or a kind of outsider's way of looking at things afresh? Or are you just offensive and irritating, i.e. clickbait? So what I'm really, really saying is, no, sorry, next one. Please don't be Katie Hopkins. So her ilk, and I include Jeremy Clarkson in this, and all these people who just say offensive things so that you'll get annoyed about it and you'll put on Facebook, this is so annoying, and then your friends will go and get annoyed about it, and then it goes click, 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 and then up goes the Daily Mail's ad revenue. It's just a distraction. It's a way of distracting you from what the real stories are, and whether that's the dismantling of the NHS or whether it's just a really cool band that you ought to know about. People making you cross for no reason is a distraction from it. But, you know, they are well paid for it. But they're not paid for their opinions. They're paid for having a thick skin when people hate them for the pointless, needlessly controversial opinions they have. So, something to think about. The other stuff, though, the other distractions, like the Mail's sidebar of shame, those are less well paid, although equally distracting. And they can go on forever and ever, those things, paparazzi pictures. Because the important thing to remember, the internet is never full. Unlike a newspaper that fills up, and you've got limited amount of space, and I was told, right, 400 words here, 1,000 words there, and it all fits in. The internet just goes on taking and taking and taking, and this sort of need for new content, especially at peak times, people need stuff to look at when they wake up in the morning, when they're bored at lunchtime, and when they're going to bed at night. There needs to be stuff new all the time for those things, which has meant that journalism's become quite shift-based, which is strange for an industry that used to be kind of 9 to 5, and then what was required is now people working all through the night, making sure that there's stuff for you to look at in the morning when you wake up. The constant churn of new content means that sort of occasionally integrity can get compromised and accuracy, but there are still really good journalists out there fighting for the truth, trying to make well-researched stories, so you guys can all know what's going on. And if you want to be those people, there is still a demand for that, a demand for real content, real analysis. So breaking stories might get, they might happen on social media, that might be where you first see them, but somebody's still got to find those stories and do the research, and that's a really important job still. So the important thing, though, is with the constant churn of content, an important question is, who are the gatekeepers who let you know which bits of content are out there? So this used to be newspaper editors, and now there's plenty of others. So it could be sort of BuzzFeed or Upworthy, or even just like your cool mate who puts like really interesting links on Twitter. There's people deciding which bits of content you want. So I don't know if you've ever tried to read the whole internet. There's a lot of it out there. So you want people to take the best bits and show them to you. So really, what I would say for anyone looking for a career in journalism is think what gatekeepers you like, whether it's the BBC or a newspaper website, or you're just your mate on Twitter. Like, think what it is about what they're picking and what they're showing to you, and why you like it, and whether you can do that too. Find the gatekeepers you trust, and try and do that yourself. So overall, I would say some things don't change. I have seen a lot that's changed, mainly because of the internet in my time in journalism. But some things don't change. Journalism has always involved a certain degree of scrappiness, and I think that's truer now than ever, really. So basically, don't be shy. embrace this DIY thing of making your own stuff and putting it out there. Getting yourself into the right place at the right time, get the story, and then get the attention you deserve. So good luck, guys.